my name is Natalia, this is Crafting with Natalia, and today I have a Flosstube video for you. So this video is my January summary. I didn't mean to rhyme it, but yeah, so basically a stitching summary for the month of January. And it's still rhyming. So today it's probably going to be a bit of a long video because I've got a lot of things to show you. So get yourself a nice drink or a snack, get out your stitching or other crafting project, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. So I've had quite good feedback from my end of the year videos which I posted. So there were two parts. So one was the finishes of 2023 and the second part was the whips that I worked on in 2023. So sort of a whip parade kind of thing. And I think, so I did like a presentation format and I think people quite enjoyed it. Maybe I have some science inclined viewers or something who enjoy stats and seeing things in the format of a presentation as well. So I thought maybe this year I can try and mix it up a little bit. So what I want to do today is to show you my cross stitch as normal here, but also to insert a little bit of a presentation as well with statistics, some statistics for January stitching, and then also with just some summary of the projects that I'll be describing. So that worked really well for me as well. Doing that in the end of the year video was putting all the details of the project in the PowerPoint slide. So that I have both the picture and all the details there, so I don't have to then search for these details and for the picture and then insert that into the video, but I have it ready before I even record. So then I can just show you the slide with all those details, and then also doing the before and after picture next to each other. Again, I can prepare that before I record the video and I can just put that on one slide. And I think this will work really nicely throughout the year, having already, you know, the details of each project that I've already started. Then I can just kind of carry them through to the following months. And then also at the end of the year, I will have the slides, you know, ready. They just need to be edited with the, you know, the current progress. But I think this will work really nicely for me as well, being able to reuse these slides and then hopefully make it easier for me to find all the information about all the different projects I'm stitching on and then put it together into a video. So I'm going to try and mix it up a little bit and insert some slides, some presentation, as well as showing you projects here, and we're going to see how it goes. But I am hoping, I mean, this is just, you know, February's just started, so it's still early days, but I am hoping to be able to do this every month. So I was kind of waiting for the January to finish so that I can gather all my stats for January and put it together, you know, all the projects I've worked on, how many stitches I did and all that kind of thing. And then, you know, I thought I'll wait until January ends so that I have all the information. I can show you all the stuff that I did in January, and then I can kind of start over. And going into February, you know, I start gathering data again. And then when February is over, then I hope to post another video like this and then do this every month. Obviously, that's subject to life allowing and no disasters happening, and you know, we'll see how it goes, but this is the plan currently, and I hope this will work. But also, obviously, I welcome, like, your feedback is very welcome, and you let me know as well, guys, what you enjoy and how it's all working for you, and we'll see how we go from here, basically. Before I go into January stats, I wanted to show you a couple of things that I haven't actually shown you properly on a video. So these are still my finishes from December. So one is a cross stitch finish and one is a diamond painting finish, but I was kind of posting, so I think back in November I posted like an introduction video to what I was going to do over Advent 2023, and then I was posting on every day of Advent on Instagram. Well, almost every day. I did struggle to get everything done every day, but I tried to post on many days with my progress, but I realized I've never actually shown you the completed advent calendar projects, so I just thought I'll pop it in here as well so that you can see. So first of all, the cross stitch one, let me just get my board. It's a little bit too small. I need a bigger board, but I don't have one at the moment. So we're gonna have to put up with this one. So this is the advent calendar from the Historical Sampler Company. So this one was released in 4 parts. So it was a stitch along. And it was released initially, I think, at the very start of November. And every 2 weeks there was a new part. But the way I stitched it was a little bit different. So they were releasing a quarter of the design with every part. Sorry, this is sliding down, so I'm going to try and hold on to it. But the way I stitched it was actually to stitch the frame, the whole frame of the house and all the windows, and basically the white bits around the designs with some snow as well. So I stitched, and the numbers, I stitched the windows, the house, and the numbers before, like first. And then from the 1st of December, every day, I stitched a design inside a box. So this is day 1. So this is why I stitched on the 1st of December, 2nd of December, then the 3rd of December, and so on. And so that way I was completing it day by day over Advent, which was actually quite fun to do. Because they're quite small designs, and it was quite fun to see, oh, what's coming up in the next window, you know, and yeah, I thought it was a fun way of stitching this. This is not normally my kind of design, like it's not necessarily something I would pick as my stitching style, but I really enjoyed doing something different. So the Historical Sampler Company kindly offered to send it to me for free so that I could share it with my viewers as well. And I have to say it was really fun to stitch. It's just not something that I would normally hang around the house, or, you know, I wouldn't know what to do with it when it's finished. But it was quite fun anyway. It was a fun experience. So this came as a kit. So the fabric and these are DMC threads. They were all provided in the kit. So I just wanted to show you this, guys, just so you can have a look. And then I also, at the same time, I was working on a diamond painting calendar. So I know not all of you are into diamond painting. I know some of you are, and I know that somebody's told me recently that thanks to my advent calendar, they started diamond painting and they're quite enjoying it. So you know who you are. So I may be enabling someone to diamond paint through these videos. I don't do a lot of diamond painting these days. I've got a very large diamond painting stash, but I just, every time I diamond paint, I generally do it over the weekends these days. You know, I'm able to do it for not very long time before I kind of, my brain goes into different things. So, you know, I will sit for an hour, maybe a couple hours, and then I'm like, okay. Also, I find like my shoulder gets very tired of diamond painting, so I should probably have a different setup, something that I can put in front of my face and attach diamond painting to it, because if I'm leaning over a table, it's a bit uncomfortable and I'm getting a shoulder pain. But in general, yeah, my brain kind of keeps going into different things, mostly cross stitch, and then I have to kind of move on to do other things. So my diamond painting is not really very, you know, intense right now. I don't get a lot of things done, but this is something that I was working consistently on throughout Advent as well. However, I did lose my, basically I didn't manage to keep up because the diamond painting squares, so each day you had to fill in a square of your diamond painting, or like a rectangle, because I don't think they're squares. So each day you would fill one of them, but they were quite big. And I had my cross-stitch advent calendar as well, and I also had my other projects I was trying to stitch before Christmas. It was all a bit crazy. I was completely running out of time to do everything, and I just didn't manage to complete my diamond painting by the 25th of December. No. And then I was in Poland when I was kind of still working on it for over Christmas, but even then there was so many distractions, and my mom helped me a little bit. She diamond painted a little bit with me, but I only managed to actually fully complete the painting in the first week of January, so I was quite delayed by the end of it. Anyway, this is what the final result was, and I think it looks great, actually. I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was difficult because normally when I diamond paint, I have a pre-printed canvas. Then you just stick your diamonds on the symbol that you can see on your canvas that's printed. But this one was a blank canvas, so you had to count. It was like counted cross stitch, so you had to count where to place your diamonds. And that's why it took a much longer time for me than it would as well if it was a printed canvas. But I did enjoy it. I really enjoyed the colors of it. Very bright, lovely designs. There was very few designs I didn't particularly like. But actually, I think they all look really good. You know, some I like more than others, but in general, they're all very cute, colorful, sparkly. There's lots of sparkle in it. And the way I did it, I had a random number picker on my phone. And so I just picked a number from 1 to 25 every day. And oh yes, and so basically, so I numbered in my head, I numbered every square or rectangle. I numbered them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and so on. And the number I would put on my phone would be the square that I would choose. So these designs are randomly arranged on the canvas. So one is here, but 2 is somewhere else. Well, I don't know where. Can't remember actually. Where's 2? I don't know. 2 is somewhere. It's too many numbers now. But basically they are random the way they're arranged. But that was really fun actually to do as well. I didn't know what was going to be in each rectangle, and I didn't know where I was going to put the next one. So it was quite fun to do it that way, I found. Okay. So anyway, so that's my Advent projects that I just wanted to share with you. And now we're going to move on to my January stitching. This is going to be now cross stitch only. I know this was, you know, diamond painting, but from now on we're just going to be talking cross stitch. And I'm going to start by telling you some statistics for the month of January. Okay, so I'm going to now flip you over to the presentation on my laptop, and then I'll see you again later for my first project that I'm going to show you here. Okay, so here's my presentation for January 2024. So let's jump straight to the stats. So first of all, the total number of days that I stitched on in January was 31 days. So that's amazing because that means I managed to stitch every day of January. So I'm very happy with that. That also means I've pretty much abandoned all other crafts, but still, it was worth it. I had lots of fun. I started at counting stitches this month. Well, I'm trying my best. A lot of time. So obviously when I use Pattern Keeper, it counts it for me. So that's easy. I just keep record of everything I stitch every day. But the patterns that I don't have on Pattern Keeper, there are paper charts or some other PDFs, I have to count myself, and obviously I will get lost sometimes. I will lose count, or more likely what happens is I keep count in my head, and then I will pick up a DMC thread, or somebody on the Flosstube says a number, and and then I forget what number was in my head. So I quite often undercount, I think, because rather than overcounting, what I tend to do is I will go down to the number that I know I've already passed. That's kind of that I can remember most recently. And so probably this number is a little bit underestimated, but it is 10,696 stitches that I've definitely stitched in the month of January, which I'm very happy that I've managed to stitch over 10,000 stitches in 1 month. I think this is great. Seeing that I have a very busy job and I've been working lots of overtime, and I have a husband and I have to cook and do other things, so this is pretty good, I think. The total number of whips I stitched on was 11 whips, so yeah, quite a few. And I didn't manage to finish any projects in January, unfortunately, but that's okay. That wasn't really, I didn't know if I was going to get anything finished. I didn't have a plan to finish anything specific, so that's okay. And I had 3 new starts. So yeah, of course I did. But it was January, and you know, I think always the start of the year is the time when we really want to start new things, and there's lots of sales starting and lots of exciting things starting. So I think it's the time of the year where it's really hard not to start things. So on this slide you can see all of the projects I stitched on in January. So I'm using the spreadsheet from Teresa Little Stitcher. She's got a new edition, the 2024 edition, and I think it's much improved from the previous one, so I definitely recommend it. She's got 2 versions, and I'm kind of keeping track in both of them in case of, I don't know, if I need either. So this is the first version. This is to just count the number of days you stitch on each project. The second version that I will show you on the next slide is for counting stitches. So if you're counting your stitches, you enter the number of stitches you stitch on every project every day. So you can keep track that way throughout the year how many stitches you count you stitched you counted on each project. So here you can see the list of all the projects I worked on and kind of have a rough idea when did I work on them and for how long. So yeah, I do enter them kind of as I work on them, so that's why you see this pattern kind of, you know, moving from one project to the next. So you see how I work. And sometimes I will come back to the project, like I did come back to that Quaker flag at the end of the month after having a little bit of a break with it. But the general pattern is I will stitch for a few days on one project and then switch to another one. Quite often I will stitch on 2 projects at the same time and then move to another couple projects at the same time. So there's a slight overlap between projects as I move on from one to the next, and there's still one that I'm working on in between as well. So yes, that's the days that I stitched on these projects, but also now on the next slide, you can see the number of stitches I stitched on each project. Sorry, I will have to move my head out of the way so that you can actually see the bottom of these slides. But you can see here the breakdown of how many stitches I did every day on every project and how many total stitches I did on every project. But the average number of stitches per day I did in January was 345. So if I show you the actual breakdown, the number of stitches by day in January, you can see that there are some spikes. So there are days when I stitch very little. Like my lowest number was 137 stitches in a day that I counted. And then my highest day was actually last Sunday when I had a Zoom call for the Quaker flag sale. So that one was 714 stitches. And then another high day was when I was at the Essex Needles Day. That was 586 stitches, and I should have really had more, but I did spend a lot of time walking around the room looking at the finished projects on the brag table and also shopping and just chatting to people and looking at stuff. So I didn't get that many stitches done, but still quite a lot. So finally, just to show you again how many kind of, now I've ordered the projects in the number of stitches. So starting from the project that I stitched on the most and ending on the project I stitched on the least, you can see the number of stitches I stitched on each of them. And I also marked the new starts in white. So you can see that I actually did most of my stitching on the new starts, which seems to be a thing I normally do. It's much easier to stitch on the new stuff, isn't it, than on the old stuff? Somehow, that's how it works. Okay, so I think that's really the main summary of my stats. So now we can move on to look at the projects I stitched on individually. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about my new starts. So as I said before, I had 3 new starts in January. And the first well, I'll talk about them each individually, but you can see the breakdown here when I started them. So kind of every week I started one for the first 3 weeks of January. The first one was a New Year's start, done on the 1st of January. Then I had the next one on the 7th of January and the next one on the 14th of January. And I did manage to stitch quite a lot on each of them, but let's have a look individually at every new start. So my first New Year's start, that wasn't planned at all. That actually I decided to start on the New Year's without having any idea I was going to start it on the New Year's. Actually, I didn't really think I was going to have a New Year's start, but I am in this, I joined at the end of last year, I joined Whip Warriors, and they have this game, it's a group that they do like the stitching games throughout the year, but you can only sign up to the group in November, so if you want to sign up you're going to have to wait till the end of the year. But they do these games, and they do categories where you have to stitch, like you pick projects based on kind of if they contain, well, basically there's a word, and then you have to find something in your chart or in your project title or something to meet the criteria, starting with a letter that's drawn every month. And the letter, I think for this one was, for January was W, and I was looking for any designers that I have charts from that start with W. And I think I was struggling to find anything. So I looked at the charts that I have PDFs for in my folder, because I have them, all the designers, every designer has a separate folder. So I was looking what starts with W. And I found that I had some charts from this designer. He's called Wonder Stitch UA for Ukraine. It's a designer from Etsy. And I got these charts quite a few months ago, last year, and I really wanted to stitch them because I saw someone else stitch one of them and I thought they're really nice. I love birds, I love stitching birds, and they're quite, you know, like have natural botanical / bird drawings. I love these kind of drawings. So I thought, oh yeah, I'd love to stitch one of them. So I just randomly picked one. It was a toucan. This is the Latin name for that toucan. That's, you can backstitch that on bottom as well if you wish. I'm not sure yet if I will or not. But yeah, it's basically, you know, it was just kind of a on a whim decision, and I started it. So I'm stitching it in DMC on cream and sugar 40 count linen from Fiber on a Whim. On a whim. Sorry, I wasn't actually planning that. It's like a pun. I started it on a whim. Yes. So and it was, yes, so 40 count linen. And I'm stitching it 2/2. Controversially, but that's what I decided to do. And I will show you in my video what that's looking like. So I do like stitching 2/2 and 40 count, and that was part of my resolutions at the end of 2023 to stitch how I like and not how I hear other people say that I am supposed to be stitching things. So that's one of the things I decided to do, to stitch more 2/2 and 40 count. So this is again what the chart is going to look like, and let me just show you where I got to on the picture, just so that we have a point of reference so you can see before I show you on the video. So this is where I got to after stitching, well, I counted, no, I think that was with a pattern keeper, so that's definitely the correct number, 1,436 stitches. Okay. So not so bad, you know, still a long way to go, but at least it's a nice start. And now I will show you on the video where I am with this project so you can see it properly. Okay, so this is where I got with my toucan. So you can see it now on the video rather than just the picture. So yeah, I'm really enjoying stitching on it actually. So I didn't really want to put it down. I kind of wanted to keep going with it. And the only reason why I did put it down is because I had other goals for the month of January. I wanted to stitch on other projects. So I couldn't just keep stitching on this one because I would have to abandon my other projects, and I didn't want to do that. So I decided, okay, well, I'm gonna have to leave him for now. But it was a really fun stitch for me, and I really want to do more on him. And so yeah, he's being stitched on 40 count, 2/2. So in case if you're wondering what 2/2 looks like on on 40 count, this is what the stitches look like. So they are a little bit bulky. They are a little bit like, you know, they may be a little bit more three-dimensional because they're quite puffed up. But I really like the look of that. The colors are very intense if you stitch 2/2 on 40 count, so you get really nice bright colors, and I really love that. So yeah, I have no complaints really about this project. Really enjoying it. Don't know what else to say about it. This is the fabric. It's a very light, sort of creamy fabric. I got it from, was it Patchwork Rabbit or Peakside Needlecraft? I never know. I feel like it was Peakside, this one. Yeah, so I don't know when I'm going to stitch on it next. I mean, I'd love to stitch on it now, but then every project I have so many projects I want to stitch on, and every project I'm going to show you, probably I'm going to think, okay, I really want to stitch on it now. So that's when I run into trouble. But anyway, so that's the toucan. So that's my first new start, and then let me show you the second thing I started this month. Or, well, last month. So the second start of January was the flag of Albania. That was, again, not a planned start. I mean, none of my starts were planned. I wasn't planning to start anything in January, actually. So that's fun. So what initially I heard about this stitch along from Theresa Little Stitcher, who heard it from the Flosstube Stitcher. And I watched Theresa first, then I went on to watch Flosstube Stitcher, who I really enjoyed watching as well. And they were very passionate about this style, and I was like, well, okay, that sounds great, but I don't really want to stitch a flag anyway, so I was just listening. But then I thought, well, yeah, I don't want to stitch my flag, or not necessarily the British flag, because I don't feel like I need it that much. But I know who would really enjoy if I stitched them a flag, because so my husband is from Albania, and Albanians are very patriotic people. I mean, as Poles, we are patriotic in some way, but not in the same way as Albanians are. So we don't have Polish flags everywhere in the house and stuff. No. It's you know, we embrace being Polish, but Albanians, if you are in Albania, you will always know that you're in Albania. You can't miss it, because there's Albania everywhere, and everybody's talking about being Albanian. And they have flags everywhere. My mother-in-law keeps sending me pictures of things with Albanian flag in it, or she gave me a bag that's Albanian flag, and you know, everywhere there's Albanian flags. So she's a lovely woman, and she gets so enthusiastic about stuff, and I thought, oh my god, she would love this. I mean, my husband too. He got quite excited when I told him I'm gonna stitch the flag of Albania. And he's like, yeah, my mom's gonna love this. So really, I'm stitching this for my husband and his family, which gives me nice motivation, because I don't think in any other circumstances I would have picked to stitch this, because it's you know, there's only 2 colors in it. It's quite, well, it's big, and it's quite repetitive in some ways, you know. It's just a kind of, you know, a flag. But knowing that I'm doing this for them gives me like a really nice motivation to do this, and I'm actually quite excited about doing this. But I do have a plan B, or maybe maybe it's just what I'm going to do, I don't know. But I am thinking of making it smaller and cutting out some of these edges, because this is a very wide flag, and I'm not sure that I necessarily need to stitch such a big flag. It could just be like a square or just a small rectangle rather than being so wide. And still, the main thing is the eagle in the middle. and then just having, you know, a little bit of the border around it in red, that would be enough. So I will most likely cut out some of the squares at the edges and make it smaller, but we will see. Maybe I will love it so much that I will stitch the whole thing, who knows. So it is a design by Vivsters. And so Vivian from Vivsters, she didn't know this is what this was going to grow into. So this, all of this, the flag thing, is part of 2024 Quaker flag sale, which I think originally was only meant to be a stitch along between a few people from Australia. And then I think maybe someone else from UK wanted to join, and you know, then they decided, okay, we're going to charge the UK flag as well. Or however it evolved. Now there's 50 flags at least that have been charted. And I think people are still joining and asking for flags to be charted. So if you have a flag that's not available yet, you can contact Vivian on Vivsters. Or you can also contact Nicole from, oh, I keep forgetting, she's got a difficult channel name, Darvandali. I will give you details of her YouTube channel. Basically, I will put it on the screen. I will add it to the slide because it's not on the slide right now. But also I will link her channel below, and I'll also put the link to details about this sale. If you would want to join the stitch along, you still can. They also do monthly Zoom calls, so that's what I did last Sunday when I got a lot of stitching done. And they also offer some prizes every month, so it's quite a fun stitch along. So it's Nicole, and it's also the second organizer is Gail from Wombat Hollow. Oh, they both have difficult channel names, and I'm terrible to remember, but I think it's yeah, I'll put them both on the slide basically because I will not remember. And also I will link both of their channels below underneath the video. Yeah, but so basically this is how I ended up stitching this. This is stitched also on 40 count because I'm trying to make it as, you know, I want it a little bit smaller, but I don't want to stitch it over one because, yeah, no. So I still want to stitch it over two, but on a smaller, like higher count. So I'm stitching it on 40 count even weave. And it's just a white even weave that you're gonna see in a moment. And I'm stitching it with the code for DMC, so it's 310 and 817. So I managed to stitch 2004 stitches on the flag of Albania, and this is where I got to. Yes, this is how far it is now. And I will now show you on the video how it's looking. So this is how the eagle looks like so far. This is something that I didn't actually think I was going to enjoy stitching as much as I did. So the eagle, well, I mean, I wanted to stitch the flag of Albania because of my husband and his family, and I didn't think very much of, well, I thought, well, probably I'm gonna get bored with it really quickly. But actually, I really enjoyed, I don't know, like once I started in the middle, so somewhere here. And once I started, because you have these Quaker patterns that are very symmetrical and they are quite easy to stitch. So you don't have to do a lot of thinking. You just, well, I do it with Pattern Keeper and I just follow the lines. So basically I was kind of stitching lines or columns, either like one or the other. And because of that, it was kind of easy to follow because you just you do one stitch and a gap, or two stitches and a gap, and blah blah blah. It's quite easy, quite mindless in a way. You only do it with one color. So it was stitching up quite fast, and I actually enjoyed it more than I thought because I generally don't enjoy stitching with one color only. So I thought, oh, I'm gonna get bored with this quite quickly, but actually I didn't get bored, surprisingly. Maybe at the very end because I was trying to do quite a lot of stitching on this in one day, and then I got tired, but I think it was just because it was too much stitching in one day. But yeah, I think he's going to look great. So yeah, I'm trying to do the eagle first, and once the eagle is complete, I'm going to start filling in the squares with red to get the proper. Right now you can only see parts of each square, and then you have these gaps. but actually there's going to be red thread going in between. And I'm really curious to see how they're going to look together next to each other. But also I really wanted to do the eagle first and have like an image of just the eagle and only then fill in the red. So I'm gonna hold off on the red for now until I finish the eagle. So yeah, so that's this one. And again, this is 40 count 2/2. And this is 40 count even weave rather than linen. So the even weave is called Verdal. And so this one I believe I purchased from Lakeside Needlecraft here in the UK. And it's just white. And I think that's it really. I don't know what else to say about it. So my third start for this month is, oh my goodness, do I have to say this in French? Au fil de nichoir, something like that. I'm not sure. But it's a line of nests, or, well, I don't know. Or use Google Translate. But basically, it's a line of birdhouses, like a row of birdhouses. There's 12 of them. It's another stitch along that I got jealous of. I knew about it before January and I wasn't going to join it. But so I knew my friend Edita is stitching it because I saw her stitch on it in November. And then I was watching Handwork Maniac and she was talking about it again, and so she's stitching it with another Flosstuber. I can't quite remember their name now, but it's a sale they've been doing since October, but I decided to join it now. And so it has a birdhouse for every month. You can find it on Birdhouse Sal on Instagram if you'd like to have a look. I also recommend, if you're not watching the Handwork Maniac, I think it's Brenda is the name of the lady, and she's got so many lovely projects, and she's really nice to listen to when she talks about them. So I recommend you watch her if you're not already watching her. I will link her channel below as well. But so 12 birdhouses, one for each month. They all kind of designed to match the month, you know, that they're for. So that's really fun. So you've got like the one in December looks kind of like Santa and so on. And so I decided to start with the January one in January and just go try to stitch one birdhouse every month. And I thought that would be really fun to do. So that's again not a planned start, but I couldn't stop myself. So I decided, so this is a design by Jardin Privé. I decided to stitch it on, basically I managed, there was a sale on, what was it, Lovecrafts or something, and they were selling a very large piece of this printed flowery 32 count Murano. And I just got, because I thought it's such a cute fabric, I've stitched on it before, I loved it. So I just bought it because it was on sale, and I thought it was a good deal. So I've got a very large piece of this fabric now to use for various projects, and I thought I'm going to try and use it for this one. So again, this is what the design is meant to look like when it's finished, and this is how far I got so far. I forgot to say as well, I meant to mention another Flosstuber here. Sorry, it's just there were so many things to remember in this video. But I also got enabled because there was another Flosstuber that I started watching recently who is also stitching these birdhouses. And it's Karen from The Stitching Owl. So this is she's quite new, relatively new to Flosstube, and this is a lovely channel that I've been watching and really enjoying it. So Karen, she stitches lots of ornaments. She's like a master of ornaments and she really enjoys making them, and she's got a very calming way of speaking about cross stitch, and she's a musician as well, and she incorporates some music in her Flosstubes, and she's just delightful. So I just wanted to mention her as well. Here she's actually stitching the individual birdhouses as ornaments, which I think is a wonderful idea. Natalia as well, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how she's going to finish them. So I just wanted to say that here because I forgot during the main video, so I just recorded this a little bit later. So yeah, I will now show you on the video how it's looking. So I managed to stitch 15,010 stitches on it that I counted so far. So yeah, have a look on the video. So here you can see, I don't know, should I let me change my board because I can't hold it properly this way. Okay, so for now I only have obviously the first birdhouse, but it's a very long piece of fabric because I need to fit quite a few birdhouses on it. 12 of them. So this is what it looks like on the video. I wasn't very convinced about this fabric initially when I started stitching on it, because I started stitching at the top and I was stitching these snowflakes and the clouds, and I thought, oh, they're not going to stand out on this fabric. It's not really going to work. But I didn't want to throw them out, and I didn't really want to restart. And then I thought, well, it's a cute fabric anyway, and it kind of looks like maybe on the winter months, it kind of looks like snow falling down. But then on the summer, you've got flowers. So it kind of works for all seasons. So I thought, no, I'm going to leave it like this. And then, you know, it's only going to interfere really with the top, which is not a lot, because in most places you have birds or, you know, you have flowers and stuff. You don't have that many clouds or snowflakes. So it's not going to interfere with that many things, I think. There's a white bird somewhere, so I'm just gonna have to be careful with that one, possibly do some backstitch, but I think it'll be fine. I did double stitch these though, because the snowflakes look so faint on the fabric, so I actually stitched again on it to make them thicker, so they're quite thick, these ones, but I just wanted them to be more visible. So I've changed the color of a Christmas tree just to make it a little bit brighter. And the rest, everything is as called for. And yeah, that's... Oh yeah, one thing I changed is this, on his hat, the pom-pom was white in the design. But again, it would blend with the flower that was right here. So I just left it in red instead. So he's got a red pom-pom. But yeah, so that's the first birdhouse. I think they're going to look really cute, and I'm actually really looking forward to stitching the second one. So the second one is like these lovebirds that are kind of cuddling with each other, and there's a daffodil here, so I just started stitching on it, but I didn't stitch the actual flower. But yeah, I think it'll be really cute, and I'm really looking forward to stitching the second one. So I'm thinking maybe after I finish recording the video, I may... Well, I want to do so many things, but I really want to get started on stitching the second birdhouse as soon as possible to get it done at the start of February. Okay, so yeah, that's it really, I think, for this project. Dum-da! So now I'm going to talk about my whips. So let's have a look. So I have 8 whips to share with you, and that I stitched on in January, and you can see them here again ordered by the number of stitches I've done on each of them, and I will go through them one by one. So again, I've tried to put the date started here and then how many stitches. For some of them I'm not quite sure when I started them, so yeah, but in case if you're interested, these are the dates that I started them, but I don't stitch on them consistently, so for me it's kind of random. Some of them have been sitting not stitched on for a year or something, so it's not very indicative, like the date started. It's like, you know, some of them sometimes I start a project and finish in the same month, and sometimes I will sit on it for 2 years and not touch it. But anyway, so let's look at Fairy Tales Live on the Roofs first. So this is a kit by RTO. And I mean, I've talked about this one a lot in my previous videos, and I've recently talked about it in my end of the year video, so I'm not going to spend too much time now talking about it. But it is a kit from RTO. However, I did restart it on a different fabric, a 16 count Ada from Pulp Stitching Aberdeen. in Candy Floss, and I'm just using mostly the threads that were included in the kit, but I also added a little bit of sparkly cranic in the bird and the crown and the wings. So this is where the project was in December 23 at the end of the year, and now this is where I got to in January. So I've managed to stitch 1471 stitches, if I counted correctly on it. Likely I'm struggling to count backstitch, so that's likely wrong, to be honest. But around 14,000, well, not 14,000, 1400, roughly. And now I will show you what it looks like on the video. Okay guys, so this is my girl on the rooftops. Well, no, these fairy tales live on the roof. So whatever the title of this project is, this is where she is now. So just going to bring her a little bit closer so you can see properly. So I did cave eventually. After very long stitching her so she's been now a whip for 3 years. I misspoke on my end of the year video. I actually made a mistake and I said, oh, it's going to be 2 years. She's going to be 2 years old. No, obviously not, because I can't clearly. I was thinking that it's going to be February 2023, but it's February 2024, and I started her in February 2021. She was a birthday gift from my mom for my birthday in February 2021, and I started her right after I received her. But then I restarted her on a different fabric after a couple of months. So really, the restart was a little bit later. And after stitching her for almost 3 years, I was always unhappy with the bird and the crown on her head. It always bothered me. Now when you see the cover of the kit, it looks like the bird is very bright and her crown is very bright and you can see it properly. And when I first got the kit and started stitching it on the kit fabric, one of the things that bothered me was the fact that I couldn't really see the bird. Because it was like a light grey fabric. It was a bit of a sad fabric. I didn't like it at all. And I thought the bird, like, you couldn't really see it. And then I bought the fabric that I'm stitching it on now. But I was still very green as well. I didn't really know what I was buying anyway. But I really liked the fact that it was so rainbowy. So I wanted to stitch it on this fabric. But then on this fabric, I ran into exactly the same problem because, again, it's a light fabric. So the bird was still not visible. And I think it always made me unhappy about this project. The fact that, the bird is right in the center and I couldn't see it. So what I ended up doing, finally, I have made an executive decision this January 2024. Now I'm going to put dark backstitch around the bird and her crown as well and her wings, because I was just really annoyed that you can't see any of it. So this is what I've done. So zoom in on the bird. There's just a thin black, well, not black, it's like a dark blue, navy blue outline around it. And I did the same for her wings and her crown. And that made me much happier about this project because now I can actually see it. And so it's there. So I don't have to look for it and angle it and is it there? Is it not there? I can actually see the bird. So yeah, so really I'm much happier about this now. And as you can see, I finally completed all of the cross stitches. They're all done, and I've started on the back stitching around the houses. So far I've only done the dark, so there's back stitch with multiple colors and with multiple shades of blue and white and grey. And then there's also some French knots that I still need to do. And the back stitch is some of it is 1 strand, some of it is 2 strands, some of it is 3 strand. So I've only done the darkest back stitch so far, but I've got a lot of back stitch still to do like on the roof and the windows and everywhere, and some French knots and stuff. So that will be my project for February, to try and complete all of these back stitches and French knots and get this project finished. So that's one of my goals for February. She's almost there, guys. So you can see, one thing I did, I carried threads behind because they're light threads. So in the clouds, it's, you know, they're quite light colors, and I couldn't like see all these little dots everywhere. I wasn't going to stitch them one by one and finish my thread after every one of them, like pinch stitching them. No. So I carried them. So that's why if I don't put the board behind, you're gonna see all the carried threads, which is not helpful. So again, just zooming in a little bit on her. Now I can't see what you're seeing. There we go. Okay. So hopefully next month she's going to be a finish. Fingers crossed. We're gonna get there, yeah? Okay. So yes, that's her. So the second project that I stitched on is the very exciting project. So this is Fairy Flora by Mirabilia, designed obviously by Nora Corbett. And this one, again, I'm stitching on 32 count Murano and Slate Blue. And I've modified this one quite a bit, which again I've discussed in my previous videos. So I'm not going to talk about all the changes I made in it today, but I'm going to show you again where it was last time I've shown you it. So this is, well, this is as it was in December 2023. However, I haven't stitched on it in a very long time. So in 2023, I pretty much didn't touch. I think I touched it for like an hour one day, and I didn't stitch on it almost at all in 2023. So really, this has been picked up for the first time after a very long time, and this is where I got to in January. So I managed to stitch 826 stitches on her, which is quite exciting. You can see the difference in how much of her dress I managed to get done. There's still lots to go, but still I'm happy that I finally managed to add some stitches to her. And so now I'm going to show you her on the video and tell you some more details about her, and you can see her in close up. I really like showing this project. This is one of my favorites to show, because this project, I realized it when I was stitching on it this month. It just felt so special. I don't know, like first time when I picked her up after over a year of not stitching on her, it was just so special. Honestly, she made me so happy. So I find with my Fairy Flora, she's a project that I really want to concentrate on and not rush it. So I like to be quite thoughtful and really think about what I'm stitching, and, you know, be careful to not tangle my threads, and to not, you know, for my stitches to lay nicely, to think about what I'm gonna do next. And I really like to take my time with her. So she is a very like meditative kind of stitch for me. She's not something I'd want to rush, but I'm just kind of enjoying every stitch, and that makes it really special. Like, I've never stitched anything like this before, so I think maybe that's why she's so special. But anyway, let me show you. She's a bit tricky to show, but there we go. So my board again is a bit too small, but hopefully you can see her. Okay. So this is her in her full glory. I'm going to show you a little bit of a close-up as well. So you've already seen her face before. There's a little bit of her wings done. Those plants on the side. And mostly I have been stitching on her dress. So in January, I've added this part of her dress and filled in a little bit of this. And I think I'm going to keep working on her dress still for a little bit, just to get some of it done, because it's quite a big dress. And then I would like to like move the Q-snap a little bit and actually finish her wings and finish the top part of the design. And then when I do this, then I want to move back down and finish the bottom. The bottom is almost like it's a full coverage, so there's a lot of stitching at the bottom. So she still has a lot of stitching to be done, but again, it's not a project I want to rush, so I'm hoping to have a few days every month, even if it's just like 2 or 3 days, but every month to put some stitching in her, and hopefully by the end of the year I can finish her. So, you know, slowly kind of getting her done bit by bit. But I think she's gorgeous, and I can't wait to see her finished, but also I'm really enjoying stitching her. So it's one of these projects where like I want to finish it, but also I don't want to finish it too quickly, because I actually really enjoy the process of stitching on her. So yeah, so she's making me quite happy overall. Yeah, I hope you guys like her too. I think she's really special. Yeah, so that's my fairy Flora. So the next project I've got to show you is the aquarium. This is again a kit by Luca S. It came with 16 count gridded Ada, that's what I'm using, and it's being stitched not 2/2, 2/1. I have to correct this, but that's what it's stitched on. And what else should I say? So I'll show you again what it was the previous time I've showed you it. So this is what it looked like in December 2023, and this is what it looks like now. So I managed to add 668 stitches to this one, and so as you can see, I've almost finished the first fish and I started on the second fish. And I'm going to show you it in more detail again on the video now. So the aquarium lives in this most awesome project bag holder thing that I got that was sent to me as Stitchy Kindness from my dear Stitchy friend Lizzie from, I always forget what her channel name is. Is it Mrs. Fisher Stitches? I don't know. I will link her YouTube channel below. Is it Lizzie Fisher Stitches or Mrs. Fisher? Something like this. But Lizzie is a lovely, wonderful human being and a lovely cross stitcher as well. And a floss tuber. So she's got her own Flosstube channel, so definitely do go in and check her out as well, and her stitching. She's got lots of lovely projects. And she made this for me. She made it herself, which is very impressive that she can make this. She knew that I love seahorses and sea things, and I have lots of sea themed projects that I want to stitch. So she gave me this bag. So inside this bag, I've got the threads. This is the image, obviously, what the kit would like, what the product will look like when it's stitched. I've got the charts in here, and then I also have my project. Sorry, I haven't ironed it, but the middle is not so crinkled. This one here. Let me just grab my board. So yes. Yeah, I should have ironed it really. But anyway, that's the idea. Mainly, I want you to see the colors, because the most amazing thing about this kit is the colors. Gosh, just how bright they are. The reds and the oranges and the blues and the yellows. It's crazy. Did you guys see the color, the threads for this project? So beautiful. Like they are gorgeous, happy colors. They're very happy colors. So this project makes me happy. But this project is hard to stitch. The reason why it is hard is because it's pretty much a full coverage. It is a full coverage, really, not pretty much. It is an actual full coverage. And it's got a lot of color changes. So this fish by itself has many colors, and it's a few stitches in one color, then another few stitches in another, and so on and so on. So there's a lot of color changes. You have to kind of, the threads come on these bobbin things, so I still have to figure out what's the best way of working with them, because it takes time to find the color that I need, to unbobinate it, then cut it, then once I take the strand I need, then I need to rebobinate it. It's a little bit slow going in that respect. And also just the actual finding the color in the first place, because I look at the paper chart and there's a lot of stuff going on. It's a very busy chart. Like, it's a nice and clear chart, but there are so many color changes, so many symbols, that I keep being blinded. I'm like, oh, what's going on? And then I look at this symbol. Okay, I find out, okay, this is where I am, this is where I'm going to stitch, and then I find the symbol on the chart, and then I have to find of all these colors on all these different bobbins, I have to find the right bobbin. So all of this just makes it infinitely like slower than if I'm just stitching on something with fewer colors, that I have my floss and floss away bags, and I just pick the number, and it's much easier the way I normally do it to the way this is kitted up. And working with a paper chart as well, I think it's much harder in this case because it's a full coverage, so it's quite a difficult thing to actually stitch from a paper chart. So because of all this, it's a very slow going project. But anyway, I managed to almost finish the first fish. So I only have the tip of the tail left really still to do. I think maybe I don't know if there's anything else, but I think it's mostly just the tail. And I've already started on the second fish. So the second fish is the one, this one. So I started on this fish now. And this one here, you can see this tail is going up here. So I haven't stitched that yet. I kind of started stitching this now. But yeah, it's a really fun project, but I think it's almost like this kind of project that you should really stitch monogamously, like one at a time, and just completely devote all attention to this project for a longer period of time, so that you can really get used to stitching on it and get into a groove of doing it. So really that's what I should do. But the problem is I don't want to give up on my other projects right now, so maybe there will be 1 month this year that I'll just decide to just stitch on this. But it's not going to be February, that's for sure. So I don't know, maybe March, maybe, I don't know, maybe later in the year. But for now, I'm just going to try and do a little bit at a time and persevere. And hopefully with time, it will become a bit easier as I have more colors filled in. We will see. So anyway, so that's the aquarium. All right. So the next whip I wanted to share with you is the honey makers. And this is one of my favorite whips. I'm really excited about this one actually. This is a design by Blackberry Rabbit, who I believe are now part of the Fox and Rabbit designs. So that's where you can purchase the charts. I'm stitching it on a 32 count even weave from Pole Stitches, and the fabric color is Heartstone. And I have done some modifications in this project. So it had, a few different threads charted originally, but I have added some more, and I'm going to show you this in a minute in a video. But I'm stitching it 2/2. So this is where it was last time, and when I showed you this, so at the end of 2023, this is where it was, and this is where it is now. So I managed to get 659 stitches on it. So as you can see, I finished one of these flowery things, and I managed to make some more progress on the next bits, got to the second flowery bit. I don't know how to call these things, but I'm working on the border, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. And now I'm going to show you and explain in more detail all the changes on the video. So this is where I am with the honey makers. So the honey makers, I think this is a project that really is the best one to, like, you will get the best effect if you see it live in person, just because of the different types of threads and textures that are in it. You know, it's never going to be the same on camera, I feel. But I really love it. This is one of my favorite projects I've ever stitched. I made it my own as well. You know, I have played around with different threads, and yeah, and it feels a little bit like it's my own version, which is quite cool. But so, I mean, the flowers around are mostly, I think the colors are mostly called for, although I feel like I've changed something with the greens. I tend to change greens in a lot of projects. I don't know why. I seem to have some weird green preferences or something, and I tend to change them up. But I don't know. I don't remember exactly what I did right now, but I feel like I've changed something with the greens. But I'm not 100% sure about it. But anyway, that's not important. What the main things that I changed, really, that are the important ones, is the cranny in the wings. So that's the cranny number 032. So that cranny, it's technically, I can't really show you this on the camera, it's really painful. It's technically white cranny, but it's not bright white. It's more, it's got this sheen around it, like kind of rainbowy sheen. So to me, it resembles what wings of bees or flies would look like in real life. Like this kind of holographic kind of, I don't know, rainbowy glow that they have around them. So they're not white, obviously, and they're not fully transparent either. So I think that's what I was trying to achieve. And I'm very happy with how this turned out. The other crannies and petite treasure braids are as called for. There's also a special effects DMC, I think, somewhere in here as well. But they were all as called for. So there were multiple different threads called for in this design. But another change that I made was the fuzzy whisper thread. So I used black whisper thread on the actual body of the bumblebees. And I just fuzzed it up with a needle. So first of all, I stitched DMC black, and then I put the whisper on top of it, and then I fuzzed it up with a needle, and then I did end up trimming it a little bit because they got a little bit too fuzzy. they were looking really black, which some bumblebees are. So initially I was like, maybe I should leave them, but I actually really like the yellow too, so I didn't want to lose the yellow. So I ended up trimming a little bit of that. They were just a little bit too fuzzy. But it's easier to see in real life, really, the fuzziness of them. But they are quite fuzzy. Oh, you can see the cranny here. Yeah, you can see it now. Yeah. So the legs, they're also cranny. But that was called for. Yeah, and the outline of the wings, I think that's a cranny cord. And the back stitch is also, I think it's in petite treasure braid or something. And initially I thought that was called for, but actually I figured I must have added it. That yellow sparkly cranny in the middle of the flowers, I think I added it myself. I think it was just meant to be light yellow, and the cranny that I had was almost exactly the same color as the called for DMC. The non-sparkly DMC, and I thought I'm just going to swap it for a sparkly cranny. So that's, I think, how this ended up being sparkly. This lovely needle minder, I got, it was a gift from Julie at, was it Stitch in London? I think it was at the Stitch in London retreat. So thank you, Julie, so much. It matches so well with this project, with my back project. I have all of the charts from this series. So these charts can be purchased from Fox and Rabbit's website, if you okay with PDFs. Or I actually got paper charts, and I got them from different places because there's 4 different designs. So this is obviously the bees, so the honey makers. My favorite one, and the largest one, is the dragonflies. Though I'm not sure if that's the title of it, but they are dragonflies. Then they have ladybugs as well. They're a little bit more, you know, ladybugs are a little bit creepy, but I wanted them all, so I got the ladybugs as well, and then the butterflies. So there's 4 different ones, and some of them I got off eBay, some of them I think Patchwork Rabbit, but I think you can also find them on Pigsite Needlecrafts, so you can find them around different shops, or you can just get the PDF from Fox and Rabbit. And the fabric, I don't know, yeah, you can see it. This is actually quite true to color. So that's the Pole Stitches fabric. I believe this is 32 count even weave. And I think, well, I wrote it on the slide, I think it's hardstone. But yeah, this is pretty true to the real color. And it's very similar to what it was originally called for, actually. So yeah, this is very close to finish. But I don't think I'll finish it in February. I think this may be March finish. I don't know. But I think I'm going to run out of time in February. So probably, you know, I'm going to delay finishing it. But that's one thing I wanted to say. I'm not in a rush to finish anything in February, really. I quite like the fact that I have some projects that are getting close to being finished. So it's quite easy to push them to a finish. Because, you know what, I was watching Hygge Stitcher, Hygge, Samantha, Hygge Stitcher, you know, not so long ago. I do like her videos a lot. And she was in one of her recent videos, she was saying that she made a mistake. I think it was last year, like in 2022, at the end of the year, I think, whenever it was, she finished a lot of projects and very, very close to each other. And then she had a really long gap to actually have a finish. And she said what she's trying to do now is to have like a balance. So have some projects that are, you know, just starts, you know, just did some stitching on them. Then she's gonna have some projects that are in the middle, so they're not quite there to be finished soon, but they already, you know, they've got already quite a lot of stitching done. And then to have some projects that are close to a finish, so that you can, you know, quite soon finish them. And that way you always kind of, if you rotate through them, you're always going to end up with something that is going to be close to a finish. So you always have a potential to finish something, you know. And I think I really like that idea, because I always, that's kind of my worry. I think, you know, if 1 month I just worked on the, if 1 month I just worked on all of the projects that are actually very close to a finish, then I could probably get a few finishes done in a month if I just focused on the ones that are close to a finish. But then I'll have no projects that are close to finish, and I'm gonna have to work on for a long time on some other projects to have something that's close to a finish. So I always feel almost sorry to finish too many things, because I'm like, oh, then I'm gonna have a gap. But now I have several projects that are quite close to a finish, so I can like enjoy this moment of being close to finishing something. And then, you know, in the meantime I stitch on other things, and I'll get something else that's closer to a finish, and then once I finish this one, I'll have something else that's close to a finish. And I think that's a nicer way of doing this. I'm with Samantha on this. I think this is a good strategy. So I'm in no rush to finish this. I'm just going to slowly get there, get other projects closer, so I have more things that, you know, that I can finish soon. So yeah. Anyway, that's my philosophy for stitching at the moment. That's why I don't get things finished. That's my excuse. So the next whip I wanted to show to you was Wisdom. So this is well, it's full coverage, which is not full coverage because it doesn't have background stitched. So it's just the image itself. The white background is not stitched. It's charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, and it's artwork by Tom Allen. I'm stitching it on fabric in color Daybreak from Pole Stitches. It's a 28 count even weave, and I'm stitching it in 2/1 10 stitch. So just to show you what it looked like at the end of the year, this is where it was. And now this is what I stitched in January. So I didn't manage to get as much stitching on it as I was hoping. In January I ran out of time, so I only managed to get 547 stitches, which is really not a lot for a project of this size, but it's more than nothing. So you can see a small change from the previous month. And now I'll show you on the video what it looks like. So this is a project that I haven't really shown on the video for a very long time. I'm pretty sure the last time I would have shown it would be like summer 2022. Well, maybe my whip parade. But the last whip parade I did was at the end of 2022. I don't think like the proper whip parade with all the whips and showing them on video. So really, this hasn't been shown on the video for a very long time. Now look at this fabric. How gorgeous is this fabric? I love it. And this is by Paul Stitches, which I would have shown you in my slide. But just admire this fabric. It's like a proper sky, like, I don't know, like a nice dreamy sky with purple in it. And it's gorgeous. So I think this is 28 count. And obviously this is stitched over 1 in 10 stitch. So the nice thing about it now, where it is now, is that you can actually see that they're owls. They've got eyes and beaks, like visible beaks. You can almost see their shape of their heads. So I think, I mean, obviously with anything hate, it takes time to get to a point where it actually looks like something. It takes a long time to get to a point where it looks like something. And the way I stitch full coverage, which I don't do a lot, and I mean as in hate full coverage, so I don't mean like the aquarium full. Although I stitch everything like this, to be honest. It's not just full coverage. So the way I stitch things, I don't ever do parting. It's not for me. It's not something my brain could understand and follow. And I love just stitching with a color until I run out of thread. And then once I run out of thread, then I decide what to do. Either I will pick another thread of the same color and keep going if there's a lot of stitching of that one color, or I may get bored, or I may just not have any nearby stitches in this color anymore, so then I'll decide what color to stitch next, and I'll do the same with that color. So just stitch until I run out of thread, and then again decide what to do next. So really, it's in a full coverage piece, this probably is more like called like cross country or whatever stitching, where you just keep going with one color and jump, as far as you can until you can't count anymore, or you run out of thread. So that's what I'm doing. So when you stitch that way, then it takes a longer time for the image to really look coherent, because when I see people stitch parked, so they do like squares, like 10 by 10 squares at a time, at least you can see, because every square is complete, you can see all the colors together for these squares, and you can see what the image is looking like, at least in that part of, the bit that they've stitched already. That's a full image. Whereas if you do it the way I do it, then you always have holes. You have holes everywhere. And the holes really, they distort the image. So you're not getting a full picture of what it's supposed to look like. So you have to wait a very long time to actually have a full image. So we're gonna have to wait, basically. That's what I'm saying. This is not going to look like anything for a long time. But at least they have eyes. Eyes and beaks. And the fabric is gorgeous. And I'm very happy that I came back to this project, because it's something different. It's very different stitching, but it's a lovely image. And it's quite fun, I think, to try different things and see how they work, and see how this much larger picture comes to life with these very small stitches. All the different colors that are coming together, there's so many of them. I think it's really fun to see, like, it's a very different type of cross stitch. So I'm going to keep working on it slowly. I'm not quite happy with, I got very little done this month, so that's a bit disappointing. But still, little by little, we'll get closer to to seeing the full image. And one day I may actually get a chance to finish this one. But yeah, we'll see. So that's the owls for now. Then I have Hoity Toity. So Hoity Toity is a bit of a long story. If you want to hear the long story, then please go to my previous video where I discuss it in more detail. But this is a design by Long Dog Samplers, and I'm stitching this, well, this is my second attempt at it. And this version I'm stitching on 32 count Murano in soft cream, just from Zweigart. And I'm stitching it 2/2 with DMC threads. However, I have made some modifications to the colors, so some of them are called for and some of them are my own choices. So this is what it looked like in December 2023, and I really just touched it for a short time, so I didn't get a lot of stitching done, but this is where I got to. So I did manage to do a little bit of work on the border, and I managed to get a total of 518 stitches done on this project. So now have a look at the video to see what it looks like on the camera. So this is Hoity Toity. This is what it looks like right now. So really, I don't really have a whole lot of things to say about it. Just wanted to show you from this angle, from on the camera rather than the picture. I'm just doing it in my own color conversion. I mean, some of the colors are as originally charted, some of them I've modified. And I really enjoyed actually stitching this motif here, these flowers. And I kind of want to keep going, but at the same time I want to fill in the black as well, because I don't want to leave all the black to fill in at the end, because I know that would be quite overwhelming, and although it's quite nice, but still I prefer not to leave it all for the end. So I think what I'm going to do is stitch a little bit like I did now, fill in the black, and then move on to the next bit, and again fill in the black, and again stitch the colors, and then fill in the black. And I'm almost tempted to just do the border first. I get only the border around it, and then at the end, after I've done all the border, which will be in a very long time, but once the full border is done, then only start doing the middle. I thought that would be a really fun thing to do. So I'm kind of considering doing that right now. But obviously that's a very long way away to even think. Like for now, I just want to get some progress on it. So this is how much I've managed to achieve so far. So you guys who have been watching me for a while, you know that I originally started stitching it on a different fabric with different threads, the silks from Mrs. Sedas, but I did not have fun with the colors of the silks, and also even the silks themselves, they weren't as nice to stitch with as I was hoping. And now I came back to my DMC version of it, so I restarted it last year on 32 count Murano with DMCs, and yeah, this fabric and the DMC threads make me happy. And I think I am going to probably abandon the Mrs. Sedas version. I started that one on 36 count even weave, and I wasn't very fond of that fabric either. It was a bit, the texture of it wasn't as nice as 32 count Murano. It wasn't as soft, and I don't know how to describe it, but stitching on Murano is like stitching on butter, honestly. It's just pleasure. I didn't get the same experience with that 36 count even weave I got, and I didn't quite enjoy the silks, and I'm thinking I'm probably not gonna want to finish that one. So for now, that one is just, you know, sitting in timeout, and I will have to think what I can do with the silks, but I don't really like them so much, so I don't know really. So yeah, but at least hopefully I can finish this version. I'm really hoping I can get this one done. I quite enjoyed, obviously I did very little stitching. It was only, was it only a day or 2 days that I did on it? I can't now remember. You would have seen it in my stats. I don't remember. But obviously I did very little stitching on it. But I enjoyed the little stitching that I did. So maybe a little bit every month or something would be nice. So we're going to have to see. But yeah, that's where it is for now. This is Santa by Mill Hill. That weird number at the top, which just confused me, that's just the number of the kit. I thought I'd add it there because Santa is a very generic name. Like if I just say, well, I'm stitching Santa, there's going to be like a million Santas out there. So if you're looking specifically for this kit from Mill Hill, this is the number of that kit. This is a design by Jim Shore. It's stitched on everything that came with the kit. So it came with this 16 count Ada in navy blue. It's just stitched 2/1 as you do. I've put a sal here. This is a hashtag that we're doing. I will mention it in a video that follows this slide. But we are doing a sal, a stitch along with my friend Melanie. So this is a hashtag that we're using. So if you would like to join the stitch along, please use this hashtag. I will put it on the screen further in the video as well, because I realized it's a long hashtag. We probably didn't think this through, but you know, it's fine. You're gonna find it. If you look at my Instagram account as well, I've posted recently using this hashtag, so you can just follow the hashtag from there and use it in your posts as well. If you're stitching on any Mill Hill Christmas kits in 2024, then definitely let us know, use the hashtag, and you can tag me as well so that I know about it. So anyway, with the Santa, this is where I was in December 2023, and I did very little stitching on it in January, but I managed to finish the Santa actually. So I filled in all the reds in his coat, and he's now done, so I can work on the border now and then move on to the beading hopefully. So he only got 359 stitches, but still, you know, he's looking much better than he looked in December. It's a nice thing about these small projects that you don't need many stitches to make them look, to make quite a big difference in how they're looking basically. So I think he's looking really good now. And I'm quite looking forward to stitching on him again in February. So basically I want to stitch something Christmas every month of the year. So I'm going to keep working on these Christmas projects, even if it's just 1 or 2 days, but I want to keep doing it every month. So just a quick look at the Santa from this side. Oh, isn't he gorgeous? I absolutely adore the Santa. I love, so I've got all 4 designs from the series. You've got Santa, reindeer, Christmas tree, and the snowman. They're all in the same kind of style with a frame, and they're sitting in this like round circle. And I started with the Santa just for no reason, just picked the Santa. I want to stitch them all. And I actually thought Santa was going to be my least favorite. Maybe that's why I started, you know, when I eat, I always eat my least favorite part of the dish first and then leave the best for later. And I think I was having the same idea. So I'll stitch the Santa first, and because he's going to be my least favorite. But actually I'm really loving him because I love the reds. Look how bright the reds are on this blue background. And they look so lovely with the yellows and the greens and the blues. Oh, look at just the colors in this are honestly such, again, happy colors. And I love happy colors. And this is something that actually cheers me up, seeing these colors come together. So this is making me very happy. So I don't know if I said it in my slide because I haven't recorded my slide for this yet. But I will say it here then. This is a stitch along between me and Melanie. Melanie, hello, Melanie. Melanie is my dear viewer from, well, she's been watching me for a long time. She does both cross stitch and diamond painting, and she's lovely. And she reached out to me in a comment for my Christmas video, I think, when I was showing the Santa. And she said, oh, I also have a Mill Hill kit, and I got stuck with it. I think she said she just like, she started it, but she got a bit stuck with it. And I said, well, should we do a stitch along on Mill Hill Christmas kits to get them done? You know, like, why don't we support each other in trying to get these Mill Hill kits finished? So Melanie came up with a hashtag, which is a bit of a long hashtag, but I blame Melanie for this. But you are very welcome to join us on this very long hashtag. So I will put it on the screen. And I will put it on my slide as well, which you would have already seen, so I don't know. But basically, please join us. If you have a Mill Hill kit, that's a Christmas kit. Any Christmas Mill Hill kit will do. Just join us in stitching them this year. So basically, I want to keep the hashtag going all year round, and because I wanted to stitch on Christmas things anyway all year round. So once I finish this one, I will pick up another one basically, and I don't know, from the same series, or I also have these snowmen, also from Jim Shore, I think they are, but they're not like this. They're actually the snowman shaped ones on the perforated paper or plastic or whatever. So I also have them. So I will pick another Mill Hill kit after this one, and I'll just keep going until the end of the year with whichever kit. And you're just welcome to join at any point. Just use the hashtag on Instagram, and you can tag me, because I am very bad recently on Instagram. I am almost never on it. So the only thing I check I check my notifications, who has tagged me, who has followed me, or who has commented or something. And then I scroll for the first few posts, and then I usually find something that I want to buy. So I end up going to the shop website or something, and I forget that I was on Instagram, and it just keeps happening. Instagram always enables me to buy stuff. That's the problem. I find, oh, this is really interesting. Oh, what's this shop? Or what's this? And then I end up browsing Etsy for half an hour instead of browsing Instagram. So yeah, I'm not very good at being on Instagram, so please, if you want my attention, please tag me or message me, or do some things that I can actually notice, so that I don't miss it. But yeah, so Mill Hill Santa, this is him, and I don't know what else to say really. There's gonna be a lot of beads on this, so there's a lot of holes right now. If you see all the holes, there's gonna be beads everywhere. So many beads. There's like 2 big packs of beads, but they're not sorted, so in each pack there's like 5 different colors of beads or something. It's a bit mad. I don't know how I'm gonna make any sense of it, but for now I'm not worrying about the beading part. I just want to get the stitching done for now. And I've filled in all of his coat. All of it is done. So now I'm going to keep going with the frame around him. Obviously, I still have all this stuff to stitch, so there's still quite a lot, but at least the Santa's done now. Yay! Hope you like him, and yes, let me know if you're gonna join us. I'd love you to join us. Yeah. And finally, my last whip I wanted to show you today is Stars in My Garden by Kathy Barrick. I'm stitching it on 32 count Murano in Pearl Snow Iridescent. So it's this lovely white sparkly fabric that I'm going to show you in a video in a little bit. I didn't get much stitching on this one, so this is where it was in December 2023. And this is where it is now, so only 281 stitches, so not a lot. But again, it's better than nothing. And yeah, he's a really fun project to stitch. It's just that, again, I ran out of time to stitch on him. But I will show you now in the video and tell you more details about this project, and then we'll come back to do a little summary at the end of the video, and we're almost there, guys. So again, I didn't get very much stitching done on this one, so I'll just show it very briefly, but I just wanted you to show it, to see it on the video, because it's just nice to see things. It's more like you would see them in real life, isn't it, on the video. Yeah, so he stitched on this lovely sparkly Murano. This is one of my favorite types of fabric to stitch on, really. I really need to get going with filling in that bird. I am thinking potentially, but I can't decide. So we're going to Paris for my birthday. My hubby gave me a surprise. He booked tickets to Paris just for a long weekend. We're just going for 4 days, kind of, well, 3.5. But basically, yeah, he booked tickets to Paris, and it's going to be my birthday. So I'm not going to do a birthday start on my birthday this in February. I'm going to do a couple of starts, but not on my birthday in February. But I need some simple project to take with me, to stitch on a plane and in a hotel, as I always do. And this one is really simple in terms of it's got very few colors, and it's very simple to follow the chart, and it's got lots of filling in to do. So it's a good candidate for a travel project. So, and it's small, so I need something small and portable. So potentially he's gonna come to Paris, in which case he may actually get some progress done. But then I also thought about taking the Santa, but then the Santa has many colors, so I have to take all the different colors with me. So I thought maybe not. Then I thought about taking the flag, because the flag, I only need one color with me. But I thought I may get bored with it if I have it with me for 4 days without anything else, like just one color for 4 days. That may be too much. And also it's 40 count, so it's really not optimal for stitching on the plane. So I don't know, so maybe I will take this one with me. Basically that's the bottom line. We will see, I guess, how the month goes. But this is where he is now, just so you can see a closer look as well. Yeah, lovely. And so that's the last project I have to show you today. So I think what do I do now? I think I will now still take you back to a couple of slides, because I wanted to just have a look at, basically I thought this will be fun to do every month. A bit depressing, but never mind. In my end of 2023 video, I set myself some very generic, very, very vague generic goals for the year. And I thought it would be a fun thing to do at the end of every month, to kind of assess how well did I do meeting, or coming towards meeting these goals in 2024. So I wanted to do that. I also wanted to just set out some plan goals, for February. And then, yes, I'll show you that first. And then after that, I can show you like the February stuff that I have sort of on my mind, or planned to start, or not sure if to start or not. And then I think that will be the end of the video. So yeah, so let me do that thing, and then we'll talk at the end. Okay, so now that you've seen all my whips, as I said in the video, I just wanted to kind of go through the goals that I set myself in the previous video. They're very generic, nothing crazy, but also it's going to be quite fun to see how realistic they were. After 1 month, I already have quite an idea of how this is going to go. And so, first goal was to stitch on less projects, but get more progress done. So how did we do? How did we do in January, guys? I did 11 whips, didn't I? So really, I didn't do great on this goal. 11 whips. I did manage to get some progress. Some of them quite decent progress. Like, I think that the Quaker flag style, I did like over 2,000 stitches to 2,100 something. So that's good progress. But if I stitched on less projects, I would have gotten much better progress on each of them. But maybe it's just not realistic in my case. I don't know. We're going to have to see how this goes. So I'm going to have another look at these goals every month of the year and see eventually how well did I manage. Did I meet any of them? Did I, which ones were really not realistic at all, and which ones did I manage, and maybe learn a lesson from this. Another goal was to stitch more on older whips. So this one is an interesting, because, you know, how do you, it's a little bit vague, you know, so it's how generous am I to myself? But I think the issue that I had in 2023 was that there were a lot of abandoned whips that were quite old, from like, you know, 3 years old whips or 2.5 years old whips that I didn't touch at all in 2023, or touched very little. And I think the point was that I want to work on these old whips throughout 2024. And I managed to work on Fairy Tales Live on the Roofs, which is my oldest whip. I worked on Fairy Flora, which is again quite an old whip. I'm trying to think, did I work on anything else that was old? I mean, that's already two. That's already two. So I don't know if there was anything else. I can't remember. But for these two whips, I'm going to give myself a smiley face, because I did stitch on older whips in January, and I'm happy with that. I got a lot of progress on the Fairy Tales Live on the Roofs, and on Fairy Flora too. It was like over 800 stitches, so not bad, not bad. Another goal I had was to work consistently on a height. Right. And I picked the Wisdom by Tom Allen as my focus height. Well, that didn't go so well, because I only managed to get like 530 stitches or something. So not so good, but I stitched on it. So that's why it's not a sad face, because I figured it's not great, but also I did stitch something on it. So it's also not like I completely abandoned it. So, okay, you know, it's a point. To finish my first Mirabilia, Fairy Flora, I mean, whether I will finish it at this rate, no, I don't know, but I did make progress on it. In the month of January, I stitched on it for a few days. I managed to get over 800 stitches done, you know, so she's on the way, you know, she's moving along, so I gave myself a smiley face for this. But then, another goal for the year is to finish my first Bella Filipina. And as I haven't stitched at all on my Bella Filipina this month, I'm going to have to give myself a sad face for that one, unfortunately. But I'm going to definitely stitch on her in February, because she was actually my early birthday present to myself last year. I mean, I started her before February, but I was thinking, when I was kitting her up, I was like, this is my birthday gift to myself, early one. So I'm going to stitch her in my birthday month. And I'm definitely going to enjoy stitching on her, so she's coming out. So it's not going to be sad face in February, I don't think. To stitch on Christmas projects or ornaments throughout the year, well, I didn't stitch as much as I thought I would. I thought I was going to do more Christmas stitching in January, but I only did a little bit on my Santa. But again, I did it. I did some. So technically I met the goal. It's like, I don't know, did I meet it? Well, because it's not quite what I meant. Like, I wanted to achieve more. So it's, yeah. Yeah, I did a little bit. And then finally, stitch on what I love and how I love. And I think I'm happy to say that this one I definitely achieved. Because I don't think there was a single project in January that I didn't enjoy stitching on, that didn't make me happy, and that I didn't stitch the way that I wanted to stitch it. You know, I was like consistent with myself. You know, when I started new projects, I started them the way I wanted to stitch them. You know, I did 2/2 on 40 count, despite feeling like it's not really approved by general cross-stitch population, but I thought, well, doesn't matter. I'm gonna do it because that's how I love to stitch, and that made me happy. So yeah, overall, I think the main goal, which is that bottom one, was achieved, so I am happy. Now, just kind of briefly, what are my generic goals for February? Well, generic or specific, I don't know, some of them are specific, I think. So, stitch the next birdhouse in a birdhouse style. Definitely I want to do that. Finish the Fairy Tales Live on the Roofs. I would really like to finish it before my birthday, because that was my birthday gift back in 2021, and I think it's high time to finish it and move on to other projects. And I would really like to frame it and hang it on the wall. So that's a goal for February. To start a dragon project, because on the 10th of February, we're starting the year of the dragon. It only happens every 12 years, so you know it's a long time to wait for the next one. So yes, I want to stitch a dragon, probably more than one dragon this year, at least start a dragon, even if not finish it, but I'd like to at least finish one. Like I'd like to maybe start multiple dragons this year, but if I could at least finish one, that would be great. So Samantha from Hygge Stitcher, yes, and Erica from Floss Fiber and Floss Canada, they're doing this stitch along Year of the Dragon style. You can stitch any dragon. They're most likely going to stitch, well, at least Samantha is going to stitch the Theresa Winsler's, one of her dragons. I'm not sure yet what Erica is going to stitch, but you can stitch any dragon, and there's so many lovely dragon projects out there. I've actually been looking, and there are so many I'd love to do. So yeah, there's lots to choose from. So yeah, if you'd like to join, then this is definitely a great stitch along to join this year. So I'm going to definitely start at least one dragon in February, but it's still a little bit undecided which one. So I'm going to show you in a little bit on the last bit of my video. I will show you kind of some dragons I've been thinking about. But as I said, also further down the line, not just in February, there's lots of other dragons that I'm considering starting this year as well. Oh, there is a Stitch and Owl sale going on. So I would also, because I love owls and I already have my wisdom project, and also, you know, I bought all these little ornaments from, you know, the little owls from Mama Loves UGB, and I have stitched one, but I'm thinking about restitching it with 3 strands of floss and the correct colors, or like better colors. So I'm thinking about stitching that one. And also I found on Amazon, finally perforated black plastic rather than perforated paper. I will link that in the description because I think this is a wonderful discovery. It was actually Louise who told me that it exists on Amazon. Also, she sent me a link to the Canadian Amazon, and I couldn't initially find it, but I found it now on the UK Amazon, and I ordered it. So I've got now black perforated plastic, so I can stitch my owls on that. So anyway, so I would like to in February stitch on an owl project. I haven't fully decided. I mean, I would like to continue, as that was one of my goals for the year, to stitch on the wisdom. But if I have time, I would love to also stitch, maybe start another owl ornament in February. Yes, so as I mentioned, I need to get my hummingbird pixie out and put some stitches in her to get towards my goal of finishing her in 2024. And finally, to start and potentially finish a polar bear. So I will explain in the video that follows this, but Colorado Cross Stitcher is doing, she does it every year, every 6 months, but she's doing a winter cross stitch camp, which is just like some sort of stitch along that you pick a project, you start it at the start of the month, and the idea is to try and finish it by the end of the month. But even if you don't, I mean, it's not a disaster. You can still take part, and you can use these hashtags, so hashtag Colorado Cross Stitcher and hashtag Winter Cross Stitch Camp. And I think at the end of the month they also pick a winner, you know, kind of like if you've participated and if you finished, then you have a chance of winning something. So I really love Colorado Cross Stitcher. She's got great stitching, great videos. I kind of always wanted to take part, and I never did. And this year the challenge is to stitch something with an animal in it. And I have this chart that I've been waiting to start. So I'm going to definitely start it in February, and I would love to finish it in February. So I will show you now in the video what I'm talking about. But first of all, before I show you this, there's something that I need to remember to do. So at the end of my Christmas video, I said I was going to pick a winner for a giveaway for a small embroidery kit, like a felt embroidery kit that I was working on this embroidery star just before Christmas, and I had another kit that I decided to give away, and now we're going to select a winner. So let's I'm actually going to switch you now to the video, and then I'll show you who the winner is. So if you're still with me, I hope you are. There was also a kind of surprise small, not cross stitch, but needle embroidery giveaway in my Christmas video. And I said on my last video, the end of the year video, that I was gonna draw the winner today, as in my next Flosstube, which is today. So the giveaway was this felt embroidery star from Wild and Green. So I had a few entries for this prize, and so are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, so the winner of this lovely star is should be on the screen now, hopefully. But basically, this I believe this star is going to Texas. So I'm trying now to remember your username because I didn't make a note, but is it hi from Texas, hello from Texas, something like this? So you should see it on the screen. I know you've been watching my videos, I know you've been commenting on my recent videos, and thank you so much for watching and coming back, and I hope that at least by sending you this star I can say a little thank you for you for having been coming back to my channel and saying nice things to me. So it's just a little star, but I hope you enjoy stitching it and crafting it together. And so could you please contact me? Sorry, I don't know your first name, so I'm being awkward because YouTube doesn't tell me your first name. But but if you could please reach out to me, my email address is in the description box. It's craftingwithnatalia@gmail.com. Crafting with Natalia is all one word, no dots, no nothing. So if you could reach out to me with your address, and I will post it to you as soon as I can. I will let you know when it's shipped and blah blah, you know, the usual. So yeah, just reach out to me via email. Email is the safest option for me to actually see it. Because yeah, I'm not so great with anything else other than my email. But yes, but no, also, you know, potentially Instagram, but you know, with Instagram, it sometimes hides messages from people, and then I'm really bad with Facebook, so I don't recommend contacting me via Facebook, because I'm probably gonna miss it or something, I don't know. Anyway, so yes, thank you so much for participating, and I hope you enjoy. So that's the giveaway. Now, just at the end, just wanted to quickly show you, because I mentioned that I want to start two things, right? Well, two categories. Two categories of things. Right. Sorry, that was really far to reach. This is the polar bear from Nora Corbett. Dim, dim, dim. Isn't he cute? I never really saw him. I've never seen him stitched by anybody. Is anybody stitching him? Let me know if you stitched him or you're planning to stitch him. Because I don't think I've ever seen anybody stitch him. So yeah, so I just randomly, you know, I think it was in December before Christmas, I was on Lakeside Needlecraft shopping for random Christmas related things. I don't know, I don't even know how, but I saw this chart on Lakeside and I was like, oh, I'd love to stitch this. This is so cute. And obviously I wanted to stitch everything in December, everything winter, everything Christmas. I was like, I'm gonna start it on Christmas Day or whatever. And then I realized I'm never gonna have time to stitch it over Christmas, so I didn't. But I really want to stitch it. So I thought that would be, first of all, that would be a really nice birthday stitch, like a birthday month stitch, because it's really cute and I can actually finish it soon and, you know, It feels like me. This feels like my kind of design. And then Sherry from Colorado Cross Stitcher announced, well, I mean, actually I heard it from the Stitching Owl, who first said it, well, who I was watching first. And then I went over to Colorado Cross Stitcher, and she said for this winter camp that she's doing, I never participated. I've heard of them before, but I've never participated. But for this winter camp, so basically in the month of February, it's already started, but you can still join. Like, I haven't yet posted my start photo. You can stitch on a project that contains an animal. And basically, you first post a photo of it before you start it. And then, well, you post a picture later during the month as you're stitching on it. And I think you get a participation entry for the prize as well. But if you finish it, then you get like an entry for the for the finished prize or whatever. I don't know. I didn't obviously pay attention to the prize bit because I just wanted to stitch on something and take part. So it's not about the prizes for me. But basically, I thought, okay, so I need to start something new that contains an animal. And that's not too big, so that I have a chance of actually finishing in February. Whether I will, that's a different story. But at least I give myself a chance of finishing it, right? And then I thought, oh, I've got a polar bear, right? Well, how perfect is that? So when I was shopping on Lakeside in December, obviously I didn't just buy the chart because I thought, well, what am I going to stitch it on? So then I went on Lakeside Fabrics, and I found this lovely... I mean, I didn't realize how lovely it was until it arrived, but it's even more lovely than I thought. So it's the exclusive Lakeside Needlecraft fabric, flare fabric, I think, which is called Arctic Sky. Well, this just shows washed out. This is not what it looks like at all. This is my phone being annoying. Okay, guys, let me... Maybe this is better? Sometimes if you fold the fabric, it shows better. Yeah, so that's more like it. It's sparkly. It is very sparkly, which you maybe can't see. But it's like, oh. See the sparkle? Yeah. But it's, how do you explain it? It's like this. Oh. Yeah, so it's not uniform color. And it's not quite mottled, it's more like spray paint, kind of. And it's good. It's darker at the top, and it's lighter at the bottom. So I thought if I use the top part with this darker color, which you can't see again. But basically this part is a little bit darker. No, it's actually the other way around. That's why it's not mine. This part, oh, see, there's like speckles of darker color on top. In the top part. So I thought if I stitch the bear like here, then his nose will be like in the darker part, like the top of the chart will be in the darker part, and then the bottom will be in the lighter part. So that's my plan. It's really hard to show this on the camera. It's probably not making any sense. But basically the idea is that the darker part is the sky. So that's what I want to do. That's the plan. I got it in 32 count even weave. And I really like these printed fabrics from Lakeside and Fabric Flare. And I actually signed up this month for the fabric of the month from these printed fabrics. So every month they release a new one, like an exclusive one. And then I think then later you can buy them in their shop. But I think they're exclusive to Lakeside Needlecraft. So I signed up because they had this one for February with hearts, a sparkly fabric with hearts. And I actually have a chart that I could stitch on it, I think. So I signed up, and I thought, you can always skip one if you don't like it. But I thought it would be nice to have a few of these printed fabrics as well, because I have a lot of now hand-dyed fabrics. But I actually really like the printed ones. And I just signed up for a smaller piece because they're really nice for these smaller projects, like cute projects you find like on Etsy, or, you know, some just more of these kind of cutesy patterns rather than the serious patterns, you know. So anyway, so that's why I signed up for. And I want to also, so the bear has a star, and And I found this on Lakeside as well. And I thought this is such a nice button. It's a bit big, but I don't know how big he's gonna be. So I think it may be just big enough. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit bigger than it should be. It's a star. Who says how big the star should be? So I think I'm gonna stick it on there as well. So I'm really looking forward to this. So that's kind of going to be my birthday stitch, I think. My February birthday polar bear stitch. I don't know. Yeah, so that's what I'm doing for the winter camp. And then the dragons. So I told you there was a dragon that I wanted to stitch. So that's something, actually, well, this evolved. Initially, I got a piece of fabric that I really liked, but I didn't know what to do with. And then I saw this chart, and I thought, oh, this is such a nice chart. And I thought I was going to stitch this chart on that fabric. But I don't think I will stitch it on that fabric anymore. But I really want to stitch this chart for the dragon here. So I bought the chart because I needed something for the fabric, and now I'm not going to stitch it probably on that fabric. I don't know. Maybe this will change. So I will have to have another look at the fabric, actually. Maybe I will. I don't know. But anyway, this is the chart. So this is a dragon, clearly. I don't know anything about this chart. This is really, really bad. I'm actually not prepared about this at all. You know what happened? I got an email from the Cross Stitcher magazine, I think. Or maybe I saw an advert on some website of it. I don't know. And I clicked on it. And the only reason why I clicked on it, because it had this dragon on the, I don't know, on the ad. Basically, there was a picture. And I was like, oh, that's going to work so well on this fabric. Which I don't know if I'm going to use now. But I thought, oh, I'd love to stitch this dragon. And so I ordered this magazine without even I didn't look at anything else in this magazine. I just received it and I put it in my box or whatever. And I'm like, okay, there's the dragon. I haven't read anything, not even about this chart. So really, I really need to actually read some of this stuff. But basically, well, this is what the dragon looks like. It says here the power of the dragon. I don't know if that's the title of the chart. Not so sure. Yeah, it's actually meant for the Chinese New Year celebration. I didn't read this clearly, but it says that here. A symbol of power, strength, and good luck. Yay! So, I don't know who's the designer for it, really. No idea. I don't want to show you the chart. Sorry, I panicked. So am I showing you the chart? I don't really know. I'm confused. Sorry, I'm confused about some of the information here. I will have to read this, but oh, there it is. Designed by Susan Bates. Susan Bates is the designer for this one. Okay, so that's really it about this dragon. But I think I'm gonna stitch him on a different fabric. But let me get back to you on that. I need to confirm what fabric I'm actually stitching it on, because now I'm confused. Okay, but the thing is, then what happened was, so I was watching Samantha from Hugo Stitcher, who started this whole thing. So she said, oh, we're going to do a sale for the Dragon Year 2024, whatever the hashtag is. And I was like, ooh, that sounds amazing. And then I remembered that I had this chart, which I bought, and I completely forgot that I bought it. And I'm like, yes, there's a dragon I really wanted to stitch. But then she and her other Flosstube friend, Erica, I think it's Erica, from Floss Friends Canada, they decided they're going to stitch a Teresa Wenzler. Well, at least Samantha is stitching a dragon from Teresa Wenzler, and Erica is stitching a different Teresa Wenzler and potentially a dragon from Teresa Wenzler. Anyway, I'm not sure. But anyway, they started talking about Teresa Wenzler. And I was never really considering stitching anything Teresa Wenzler, because first of all, most of her charts are not really my style, and two, because she sounds very intimidating. Then Erica did this lovely video about explaining explaining how to approach Teresa Wensler charts and talking more about them. And I just kind of started looking at her charts, and I remember there was this one dragon. There's only one dragon really from her that I ever wanted to stitch. But I was really always, whenever I saw a picture of that, I was like, oh, that looks amazing. But it's a chart that's really, really hard to get. Because her dragon charts are no longer available. So you have to get them from like eBay or somewhere else. But I treated myself because it's my birthday month. And because it's a year of the dragon and it only happens once every 12 years. And because maybe I just wanted to give it a go, you know, and just see if I can do Teresa Wensler. Probably not, but you know what, worst case I can resell the charts to somebody else. I don't know. But I got myself a kit. It came from Korea. But it's this one, Celestial Dragon. And that's the one. The only really Teresa Wensler chart that I've ever seen that I was like, I have, like this one is the one that I would love to stitch. There's a couple other ones that I like the Peacock Tapestry, the one that Erica is stitching. I really love that one. And I may stitch it, potentially I may try and stitch it at some point. But right now, this is the one that was really calling me. And I thought, okay, birthday month, let's go for it. So that's where now I have a little bit of a heartbreak. Like, what do? Do I try this? Do I try to start this in February this year? Or should I just put it away for some future project and just stick to my simple dragon? Do I start them both? Because why not? Or do I just stitch the simple dragon for now? Keep this one for later. I don't know. So for now, this is all in debate. I don't quite know what I'm doing yet. We will see. But the colors for the other dragon are lovely. So I kind of considered stitching it. I had this sparkly fabric that I didn't know what to do with, and I got from 123 Stitch. And the other dragon, sorry, I found that I have flosses here in the bag. Has these most lovely colors. So I really want to stitch him because again, he's happy colors. So that's very different, and he's simple. He's easy. So that's nice, easy stitching. But look at these lovely colors. And I thought, you know, they would look so. I have this fabric here. So I thought initially I was going to stitch it on this fabric. So I don't know. But now maybe I should look back at the other fabric I have. So maybe I should stick to this one. I don't know. So I've got lots of dilemmas, really. And right now I don't know what I'm going to do. So you're going to have to wait and see. Knowing me, at the end of February, I'm going to come back and say I did something completely different to everything I've said so far. That wouldn't be so surprising. One thing I can't find at the moment is a Dragon project bag. Because what I thought would be really nice to have for the Year of the Dragon is a Dragon project bag. And I can't find one. So for now, I've put my dragon in a bag which is completely not dragon related, but which I really, really love. I haven't shown you this bag. This is my favorite bag. The only issue with this bag, it comes with this as well. This is from Not Enough Whip Bags. I always forget. Is it Sarah? I always forget your first name, sorry. But the shop is Not Enough Whip Bags. She is on Etsy, but I think she's taking a break right now because I was hoping to find some bags. But yeah, I hope you're coming back. I know she watches my videos quite, you know, sometimes at least. I love this bag. It's got nothing to do with dragons, but it's very colorful. So I've put all the colors in it because they fit. And also because I don't actually have a cat project. Like I have one kit that I'm stitching on that has cats in it, but it's not. They're not like cat like they. It's not really that kind of cat. And I'm not a cat person, so I don't actually have any cat projects. So I have this lovely bag. I don't know what to put in it. So for now, I've just put my colorful dragon in it because it's colorful. Although I realize it's probably not the best fit, but also I can't find the Dragon Project bag, so I don't know. So that's my problems for February. Lots of things to think about, honestly, guys. My husband is like, oh, all your struggles, or all your dilemmas and problems, all Stitchy related, honestly. Anyway, guys, I think this is everything for today. I don't know what else to say. I've probably talked already for too long, so I'm gonna let you go. I hope you enjoyed this video. I had great fun catching up with you, or really blabbling at you for over an hour. I don't know how long this video is, probably like an hour and a half or something, I have no idea. But it was really fun for me. Please drop me a comment, just say hello if you've got this far, you've managed to watch the whole video. I hope you're doing well. You can let me know what your plans are for February. You know, maybe you have something exciting planned too. Maybe you want to join some SAL, or start a new project, or finish a project, or something like this. So, you know, I'd love to hear about that too. And I think I've got frog now. I think this is it. I'm so tired now. Okay, guys, if you're not subscribing yet to my channel, please consider subscribing. At least give a like to this video if you liked it. And I hope to see you in my next video. And for now, have a lovely day, a lovely night, wherever you are in the world. See you next time. Bye.